Welcome to BeachinSurfTV. My name's Clint Harris and we're here to talk about boards, fins and everything else you use to get your froth on the surf. Today we're talking about the RMS Diamond Disc, which is a seriously fun board and can be quite easily summed up as just fun. This thing's perfect for summer, small conditions, it's super fast, and I've been really looking forward to talking about this board because I gave it a go myself and really enjoyed it. So I had a chance to talk to Rex today about this model and where it fits in Dig Quiver, and it's quite obvious when you look at the silhouette of this thing that it's going to be that 1 to 2 foot day, small surf, something that you're going to really get a lot of extra speed out of. But I wanted to kind of know what makes this board a bit different, you know, why you're going for this board versus another one. It's got quite an interesting shape to it when you grab the level out and you start having a proper look at it. It's a bit different, and I found when I surfed it, you had to put a little bit of thought into how you're surfing this compared to a traditional board. It really suits a front foot heavy guy, someone that's going to kind of really enjoy riding those super short boards. You're dropping at least 6 inches off your typical short board to ride this thing. And I think, you know, there's some pretty cool features about it that make this board an excellent choice for summer. So when we start looking at the features of this board, there's something that I found in my experience of riding this board that was a bit interesting. Because of the shape, because of the S-deck and how you've got, you know, a fairly thin tail line down the back here, but so much extra volume up the other end of the board, it definitely leans towards the front foot heavy surfer. Myself, I'm particularly heavy on the back foot. I quite like a board that's got continuous rocker. And so when I started using this board, I found that I really had to think about how I surfed it and make the most out of it. I found myself sitting on the front foot a lot more. Quite common to see male riders running similar way to that. They're really heavy on their front foot. And this board gives you so much extra speed as a result of that if you can really optimize that kind of technique. So when you kind of first pick it up, just like a lot of these things, like the Rusty Dwart, you know, the Biscuit out of our Merrick, some of those shapes, you really want to kind of have a little think about how you're riding them. You're not going to ride them like your typical all-round short boards. So sitting on the front foot a bit and picking your spots when you're actually going to, you know, use the back of your board is definitely worth considering when riding these boards. But you know, give them a go, break them in a bit, because I absolutely love this kind of category of board at the moment. It's something that's just going absolutely insane for those small little running waves that you get around the area. But one of the first features that we should really dig into here is just pure volume. You know, the thing is massive, shrunken down to a 5'6", and this particular board, the dimensions that we're looking at is a 5'6" by 20 and 2 5/8. So it's chunky and going to definitely give you plenty of paddle power for that as well. Jumping on to the next thing I wanted to point out with this board, I'm going to flip over the bottom here and have a look at what's going on around the tail. You've got a really defined spiral V here. It's going to really loosen up the board. We'll just touch on there how much volume's in this thing, and it's really important to see that there is such a good V in the back of this tail, because that's just what's going to really loosen up this size of board. And when I say size, I don't mean the size of length. This board is actually 31 litres of foam in a 5'6", so it's quite a chunky. There's still a lot of foam there. So you want something that's going to really allow you to loosen that tail up. So plenty of movement going to come from that guy there. When you jump over to the rails, something that I've quite liked about this, which I haven't seen on a lot of boards. There's a lot of boards in the market that are kind of hitting on this summer category of 1 to 2 foot. This board actually keeps quite a hard edge around the bottom, and in smaller conditions, if you've got a harder edge, I've touched on this on some other videos, it actually makes the board a lot more lively. If you think about it, you've got that biting edge where you're able to work off a bit more versus a softer edge that, you know, is good because it's a bit more forgiving sometimes. But on a harder edge, you're going to be able to really work the board that bit harder and get some response off the bottom, especially if there's a bit of a dead section. So there's a lot of thought in that tail, and I really think that's a nice balance with the amount of volume that we've got in this guy. The other thing to think about with this board is that it's going to go pretty good as a quaddie. We've got a thruster set up here in front of us, but when you're looking at this kind of outline of board, it's quite wide. So one of the things that it's not going to do so well is have that extra bit of hole in the higher part of the wave. It's just the nature of having a wider board. They're not going to have as much bite and much control as a longer, narrow board will have. But to compensate for that, you can really just look at chucking in a quad, and I think they work excellent in these kind of shapes. We do have some quaddies in store in these particular boards, and I think it's worth considering to ride these in the quads. Some guys kind of still on the fence as to whether they prefer quads or not. Myself, in these models, the jury's out on a bit. It does work better as a quad for me personally, and I think that's worth considering when looking at these smaller, chunkier, kind of shrunken down fat boards. So with all that in mind, this is a great board to pick out, add to your quiver if you're looking at something to make the 1 to 3 foot smaller conditions a bit more fun. As Rex put it, there's a gnarly V at the back of this board with his strong Californian accent, and it's going to be a really fun, loose, kind of you know, novelty kind of board to add to your quiver, and I really recommend it. I had a lot of fun on it. Come in store, check them out, talk to me about them. Love these boards, and happy to answer any questions. Cheers.